everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making several healthy breakfasts for the week. If you are a busy family, you're feeding a large family, or you just want to make your life easier, go ahead and follow along with this video or keep track of these recipes for later. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get baking. So our family is big breakfast eaters. We like hearty breakfasts. That way it fulfills us throughout the day, and we just feel better if we have a nice hearty breakfast. So I'm going to be making these meals ahead of time, so that way this week when we're working and busy, we have meals that we can just heat up and we're ready to go for the day. So a couple things I had planned for today's video is we are going to be making sourdough discard bagels because we are a big bagel family. And sorry, that was my son slamming the basement door. But we are a big bagel family, and I'm also going to be making blueberry muffins. I have some frozen blueberries I'd like to use up, so we're gonna make those. Then I'm gonna make my family famous banana protein pancakes. And then I'm also going to be making a oatmeal bake. So that's something new. I've not done this recipe before, but my daughter and I are on a big oatmeal kick. So we're gonna try this oatmeal bake. That way we can just heat it up in the morning and have it ready to go. I'm also gonna be starting some seeds. So at the end of the video, you'll see me starting some seeds. And I'm also going to be making an egg sausage bake just for something with a little bit more protein, a little bit more hearty. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started making these bagels. I have some sourdough discard that I've been trying to use up, so this is an excellent recipe to use some of that discard. So I'm going to go ahead and get the dough off the counter. It's been rising for about 2 hours, and then we're going to go ahead and put it into little balls and then turn it into bagels. Now to get started on these discard bagels. So in my stand mixer, I am putting 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. I'm adding 3 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to kind of give this a good mix in my stand mixer. I will have this recipe linked in the description below. It was super easy. If you've made sourdough bagels before, you know that they can come out a little bit almost on the tough, chewier side, but this recipe definitely does not make them like that at all. So now I'm just taking about 1 cup of my sourdough discard and then 1 cup of warm water, giving it a nice little mix. That way it's well incorporated, and then I will add that to the other mixture. So my family is originally from New Jersey, and we were close to New York, and there's just something about a bagel with some lox and cream cheese and some coffee to start out your morning. So now I'm adding this to the rest of my ingredients, and we are going to increase the speed of my stand mixer to medium and then let this knead for about 4 to 5 minutes. And then I'm going to transfer this to a greased bowl and let it rise on the counter wrapped for about 90 minutes to 2 hours, just depending on the warmness of your house. So this is what mine looked like after about 3 hours rising on my counter, and you can see it has risen quite a bit and shaped a lot differently. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this dough and put it on a lightly floured surface, and I'm just going to go ahead and hand knead it a little bit. I like to feel my dough, see if it's the right texture that I need to bake with. Okay, then I'm going to take this dough, and you can see it's a little bit dense, but I'm going to roll it out a little bit. That way I can divide it into equal pieces. So I'm just going to roll it out a little bit here, and then I will divide it into 8 small pieces. Then I'm going to shape these 8 pieces into little dough balls, and then I will press my finger down the middle to form that bagel shape. So actually, before I started shaping all these, I did preheat my oven to 425 degrees, and then I got a large pot of water boiling, and I added 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of sugar once that water started boiling. So now I'm going to go ahead and put each of these bagels in the boiling water for 30 to 60 seconds per side. And then I'm going to remove them, let them cool a little bit, and then I will top them with an egg wash and then my choice of toppings, which I just did Parmesan. And then I will bake these at 425 for about 25 minutes. So again, I am just topping them with this egg wash before I place them in the oven, but you can add whatever toppings you would like. You could do a jalapeno cheddar, you could do cinnamon sugar. I've seen people do just everything bagel, or just plain if you want no toppings on it, and they still come out great. Okay, so now that my sourdough bagels are in the oven, it is time to refeed my sourdough. So you can see that it smells very sourdough-ish. It smells like dirty socks, and I'm gonna go ahead and feed it and then let it sit here on the counter, and then we're gonna start our blueberry muffins next. So I don't do anything specific. I sometimes measure things in grams, but when it comes to my sourdough, I literally just kind of eyeball it. I know about how much I want in there, and then I just kind of eyeball it from there. So I can't read that. I'm gonna get a half a cup of flour and then a half a cup of my water that I keep sitting out here on the counter so it is room temperature, and then give that a good mix and just let it sit so it gets nice and active and bubbly again. Okay, so when I am feeding my sourdough starter, I just use a half a cup of flour, and then I use a little bit less water. I just kind of eyeball it because I know what kind of consistency I would like this to be, and I would like it to be like a thick pancake batter. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add some water and get it to the desired consistency that I would like. So with my sourdough, I do not put it in a different bowl each time. I know some people do, but once this jar looks extra dirty to me, then I will switch it over. But we just want to make sure that that flour is well incorporated. And then we're going to scrape down the sides, like so. And then I'm just going to put my lid on loosely. Okay, so one thing that I do is I use a dry erase marker, and then I just mark on there about where it is so I can see that it is doubling in size. So we are going to go ahead and let this sit here on the counter and let it get nice and active and bubbly. So the bagels are done, and now we are going to move on to the blueberry muffins. Okay, so first I'm going to make the crumb topping. So I've had this blueberry muffin recipe for a while, so I'm just gonna follow along with this, but I am going to take, in a medium bowl, I'm gonna whisk together the flour, brown sugar, and cinnamon. Okay, so we're gonna use a half a cup of flour. And then we're going to use a third of a cup of brown sugar. And then we're going to add a little bit of cinnamon. We're going to use a fourth a cup. Look how cute this is. They came in little smaller packages. I didn't know that. Half sticks. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna cut this up in little cubes of it, and then we're gonna mix this together with a fork. But you want this butter to be cold. and we're about to get a big thunderstorm. I know it looks bright outside, but we're having crazy weather. I just got an alert on my phone that we're gonna have 80-mile-an-hour winds. So as I am working on making this crumble topping, I am going to take that butter mixture and I'm going to use my hands. You can use a fork too, but you want the mixture to be nice and crumbly, and then you're going to set that aside while you make the muffin batter. So I will have this recipe linked below, but for the muffins, we are going to use 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of Greek yogurt, 3/4 cup of sugar, 2 large eggs, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, a 1/4 cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 1/2 cups of blueberries. So in a smaller bowl, I toss together the blueberries with a half a teaspoon of flour, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold these into our mixture. Okay, and then I am going to use my muffin pan, and I'm going to put some muffin liners in here, and then we are going to scoop about a 1/3 cup of batter into each muffin cup, and then we are going to sprinkle with the crumb topping. I'm going to bake these for 17 to 20 minutes or until I can insert a toothpick and it comes out clean, and then I will let them cool on a wire rack. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start making our egg sausage bake. So for this, you need 1 pound of sausage, you need a couple slices of old bread that's dried out. That will make it taste a little bit better. Then we need some cheddar cheese and about 8 to 10 eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and get this meat browning, and then we'll put it all together and bake it. I am a huge breakfast eater, as well as my family. My husband, not so much. He can go without it. But I just love eggs and bacon and savory breakfasts. Sometimes I'm not so much of a sweet breakfast eater, but these savory breakfasts are just like my go-to. But we have lots of different appetites here in this household, so I tend to make both. So I had about a half a loaf of old bread that I just chopped up, and then I'm adding the sausage, putting a little salt and pepper, and then I'm going to pour my egg mixture over top, and then I'm going to top it with some cheese, and we are going to bake this in the oven. This recipe will bake at 350 for about 40 minutes or until it is no longer jiggly in the middle. So while that is cooking, we are going to move on to doing a baked oatmeal. This is a new recipe for me. I've seen a lot of it on social media, but this is my first time trying it. So I will link the recipe that I used below, but it was really good. I liked it warmed up, and it was just super tasty. So you're going to use 1 ripe banana. You're going to mash it. Then you're going to use 1 cup of almond milk. I didn't have almond milk, so I just used plain milk. 1/4 cup of peanut butter, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, 2 cups of whole rolled oats, 1 cup of chopped pecans, which I did not have, so we left those out. And then I'm going to use 1 cup of blueberries, and then I didn't have any more left, so I used raisins, and then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of coconut flakes, which I didn't have, so we didn't use them. This recipe was really simple. You basically just combine everything, put it in a pan, and then you bake it for about 40 to 50 minutes, and then you're good to go. So I used an 8x8 baking dish, and you're going to preheat your oven to 350, and like I said, you're going to bake it for 40 to 50 minutes until the top is crisp and the middle is no longer jiggly and it is nice and set. So here are the finished product. There's our egg bake, and then here is our oatmeal bake. They were both so tasty. So I just wanted to show you my sourdough starter. This is where we started a couple hours ago, and this is how much it has risen. So I'd say that sourdough starter is pretty happy. Okay, so now we are going to make the famous pancakes that my family loves. I have this written down. You think as many times as I've made this, I would have it memorized. But these are protein pancakes made with bananas, and they do have some flour in them. But what we need is 2 cups all-purpose flour. We need 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 bananas. I'm using 2. You want them ripe. I wish these were a little bit more ripe, but they will work just fine. I'm going to use 1.5 cups of milk and 1 scoop of protein powder. You can use any protein powder that you want. This is just what we have in stock here in our house. So these are super easy to make. I make a big batch and then I let them cool on the counter, and then I put them in our freezer so it's easy to pull out in the morning. But I will have this whole recipe linked in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started making these awesome protein pancakes now. So this recipe is also really easy. I don't do complicated recipes. I don't have time for that. So this one, you basically just mix all the dry ingredients together, and then you mix the wet ingredients, and then you combine, and you are ready to bake. This recipe will also be linked in the description below, but I think I might have forgotten to tell you guys to add 2 large eggs when I was talking about it in the beginning of starting this recipe. So you want your bananas to be really ripe, that way they mash up easier. These ones weren't as ripe as I usually have them, but they work just fine. I would love to hear from you in the comments whether you are a sweet breakfast eater or a savory breakfast eater. My family is divided. My son is a savory breakfast eater. My daughter is a sweet breakfast eater. I am a savory, and my husband, when he does eat breakfast, I'd say he's more of a savory breakfast eater as well. So now we are going to take our pancake batter and put it on a hot griddle. This does take some time to make this. You are bulk prepping food, so it is a little bit time consuming, and these do get quite fluffy because of the banana, and just the batter in itself is quite fluffy. So it does take some time, but they are so worth it. So here is the finished product, and you can see I have a couple days worth of food made just in one time of baking. Okay, so I am almost done cooking all these breakfast meals, and now I'm going to go ahead and start some seeds. So I am just starting my peppers and tomatoes indoors right now. I've got to get a little bit more inventory of some things. I thought I had more of these trays, but I don't, so I don't know where they went. So we're just gonna start a couple right now. I need to get my lettuce in the ground soon and my onions, but we're going to just get these potted, and then I have a sunroom which has a lot of natural light, so I will be placing them in my sunroom on a table with the covers on, and let them grow in here. Our first frost date, or first end of the frost, is usually in mid-May, beginning of May here in Ohio. So these will be ready to hopefully harden and plant outside by the time we have our last frost. Okay, so one thing I do whenever I am planting my seeds is I get the dirt a little bit wet, and this makes it easier to water it, because if you have ever tried to water dry potting soil, it just sometimes just runs around. So if you get it wet, you kind of mix it together a little bit first. It makes it much easier to pot, and also it doesn't make a big of a mess. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this soil and put it in some of these rows, and then start to plant my seeds for the tomatoes and peppers. So I am just filling all the little cells with my potting soil, and then I will use a pencil to poke down in a little hole as I plant the seeds. Okay, so I made a video about going and picking out the seeds that I'm planting this year But I went to Berlin Seeds, and we live in Ohio, so it is local to us. But I got some Italian Romas, and I'm going to plant some Ruby Crush. And then for peppers, I am going to cut back on the amount of peppers I do this year, but I do have some sweet banana peppers, some lunchbox peppers, some orange blaze. I've never tried those before, but we will give those a try. And then some sweet ninjas. So I'm gonna plant a couple of those, and then just a couple of hot peppers. We have so many jalapenos still canned from last year. So I'm just gonna plant a couple of these, and I'm gonna do a couple La Bamba because these were great for stuffing peppers. And then we're gonna do some more salsa because we are running low on that. So I need some salsas, and then we're trying cayenne peppers for the first time. So I'm gonna get these planted.
So for us, providing a garden that gives us nutrients and healthy food for our family is really important. We also try to limit the amount of stuff we are purchasing from the store by having our own vegetables at home. So our garden is very important to us, and starting these seeds just makes me really excited because that means that summer is almost here.
Okay, so here is the finished product. It's just a little start. It's got to get these guys going so we can plant them here in a few weeks. I'm going to cover them. Like I said, our sunroom gets pretty good light, so I haven't had a problem the last 2 years. It's done pretty well out here, so hopefully we still have as much luck again this year.
Okay, friends, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed these easy, budget-friendly make-ahead breakfasts that will save you time and money. I hope these ideas help make your morning smoother and your grocery bill lower. Let me know in the comments which one you're excited to try, or share your favorite budget-friendly breakfast meal prep idea. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more simple and affordable meal ideas, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.